Hey there and welcome back to the channel. We are going to continue the series on the deaths out of Ladybird Lake. Over the past week, I've been sitting down talking with the families of the men who have gone missing and ultimately were found dead in the lake. We've been able to compile mounds of information, so much so that it's becoming difficult to keep everything sorted and organized in a fashion that's, going to allow us to analyze and make connections between all the data. So today we're going to talk about the case of Randy Lexvold. This is a case that, in my opinion, will become very important when looking at the bigger picture. I have so much information on this case that needs to be told that this video is going to be one of the longer ones that I've done so far. I've worked with Randy's family while writing this video, and I wanted all the information to be 100% accurate. In the coming days, I will be releasing a sit-down talk I had with Randy's sister, Lori. She has been instrumental in making this video happen. Before we get to the facts of this case, I wanted to take a minute and tell you a little bit about who Randy was as a person, to kind of get to know him a little bit better. Randy Allen Lexvold was born January 29, 1970 to parents Bob and Linda Lexvold. He was born up north in Madison, Wisconsin. Randy graduated from Farragut High School in Knoxville, Tennessee before going on to study electrical engineering at Georgia Tech and over at the University of Tennessee. Randy went on to have a successful career in software development, spending the better part of 27 years devoted to his craft. Randy co-authored a book on software development with Lee Ackerman. The book is described as a must-read for anyone in the software and technology field. While devoting his time to his career, he met a woman who he eventually married. Randy married his wife, Lori, on February 20th of the year 2000. They would go on to have 3 beautiful daughters who were the light of his life. By all accounts, Randy was a great man, a devoted husband and father. His family was his whole life. Randy was liked by many. He was the type of person who, when he walked into a room, you knew he was there without having to look. He had a big personality. Known for his quick and sharp wit, he was loved by many. People described him as the nicest person they've ever met, with a huge, contagious smile that touched many. Randy and his sister Lori had an exceptional relationship. Growing up, they were inseparable, doing most everything together. People would look at them and believe that they were twins, and indeed, in pictures of them as children, they do look a lot like twins. Randy enjoyed the outdoors, where he enjoyed running, cycling, and hiking, amongst other activities. He was a very athletic person, having competed in marathons, ultramarathons, and triathlons during his life. This last bit of information makes me question the police's supposition that he fell into the water and died accidentally. I just don't believe it. So let's talk about that. The police believe Randy accidentally fell over the railing of Shoal Creek, where he completely smashed the right side of his body and then drowned. The autopsy has his death listed as undetermined. So let's talk about the facts of this case, and I can tell you these facts can be a bit shocking. Let's start off with why Randy was in Austin in the first place. One of Randy's daughters was a champion swimmer. She was here in Austin to compete in a competition at the University of Texas, and Randy often traveled to see her swim. It made sense, as he was also here to attend to some business. Randy had a brilliant mind. He spent most of his time in the tech field writing complicated software for facial and voice recognition. He worked for a company named AgileCraft, a small company that secured some government contracts. Indeed, Randy had a high enough security clearance to be able to work on these projects for the U.S. government. However, he remained fairly quiet on this part of his life, rarely talking about it. Randy didn't have an office, so to speak. He worked mainly out of his home, traveling to the office a few times a year. This brings us to the day Randy went missing, Thursday, December 6, 2018. On this night, Randy was out at the rooftop bar on 6th Street. 6th Street is probably one of the most famous party spots in the U.S. It's also just a few minutes walk from Rainey Street, where all the other deaths have originated. At this time, the rooftop opened at 9 p.m. Randy was supposed to meet someone at the bar who never showed up. According to his credit card records, his bill was paid at about 10:20. Randy's family thinks that he left the bar in an Uber, which is his normal way to get around town while traveling. This can't be confirmed at this time, however. He always paid with his credit card, and there was no charge for an Uber on this date and time. 10:30 to 1:30 a.m. We have no information as to what he was doing, whom he met with, or where he was during this time. We do know he was at the rooftop bar at 10:20. Then sometime after 1:30, he ended up in Shoal Creek. Randy's family was told he texted someone at 1:30 a.m. on December the 7th. We do not know what or to whom he sent this message to. Austin police still have his phone and his laptop, so at this time it's impossible to tell. The text message is why his date of death is listed as the 7th, but we do not know exactly what time he ended up in the water. At some point, Randy made it on the bridge over Shoal Creek. The police say he accidentally fell over into the water below. This is where the police lose me, though. If you look at how this bridge is configured, it's not like you would think it is. There's no pedestrian railing on the bridge. Between the sidewalk and the edge of the bridge, there is a guardrail for automobiles. That's pretty much it. APD did a trajectory test to determine at what angle and how Randy fell into the creek. According to them, he went straight down, not at an angle, straight down, head first from the edge of the bridge. So again, this is another spot that they lose me. Look at the pictures of this bridge. There's a good 1.5 to 2 foot ledge between the guardrail and the edge of the bridge. If a person was leaning on the guardrail looking over, or a person was walking along and lost his balance and fell over the rail, that person would almost assuredly land on this ledge first. If you landed on this ledge, then rolled off the side, you would not go down head first. You would most likely go down at an angle, and you would probably have a slight spin. This is just my opinion, so take that for what it's worth. The police say that when he hit the water, that's when he suffered the injuries that he had. Randy was injured from head to toe. That's not an exaggeration. He was in very bad shape. Most of the injuries were on the right side of his body. He had a broken thumb, shoulder blade, ribs, both right and left side of his ribs, and his femur was broken clean in two. In fact, when he was found, his femur was sitting at a right angle and was fixed due to rigor mortis. Think about that for a minute. Your femur is the largest bone in your body. It's extremely large and can support about 6,000 pounds of compressive force. In researching how much force it takes to break your femur, it surprised me. It takes a lot of pressure. Over 4,000 newtons of force. Basically, it's not easy to break your thigh bone at all. I'm not convinced that a 20-foot fall into the water is enough to accomplish this. He was severely injured. Not only were his bones broken throughout his body, he had a hole in his forehead that was severe enough to cause bleeding into the lining of his brain. Think about these injuries and ask yourself, is a 20-foot fall into 3 feet of water enough to cause a man to be broken from head to toe? I don't think so. So this brings up another good question. How did he accidentally fall anyway? He was an athletic guy, and he had great balance. The police point to the fact that he had been drinking and taking some Benadryl at the time of his death. His blood alcohol level at autopsy was .22, and he had just enough Benadryl into his system to amount to maybe 1 dose. In other words, not much. Opinions differ on how drunk he was. I can understand the opinion the police have, but when you take into account all the other evidence, it doesn't seem possible. I don't think he accidentally fell into the water. So what happened to him then? Well, it's my opinion that he was beaten within an inch of his life, then thrown over the railing into the water. He was an athlete. He could defend himself. Toxicology did not test for GHB, ketamine, or rohypnol. If someone drugged him, it would be very easy to beat the life out of him and then dispose of his body. This brings us to the end. The story's been told. It probably leaves you asking what happened to Randy Lexvold. Was he murdered? Did he somehow get into an altercation that got out of hand? This is where we have to start speculating, and speculation can sometimes be dangerous. I don't know for a fact what happened to him. When I started looking at all these cases, I came to the conclusion that if you come to a case looking for a killer, you're most likely going to find a killer. On the opposite side, if you come into a case looking for an accident, you're probably going to find an accident. When I started looking at this case, I decided that I would look at the facts of the case and let them lead me to wherever they led, be it a murder or an accident. So let's look at what we know for a fact. Randy was seriously injured from head to toe. Broken bones, lacerations, bruises, and scrapes. This did not happen by falling into Shoal Creek. Someone had to have done this to him. Randy's death matches up to the smiley face murder theory very well. He was a very fit, athletic man. He was drinking at the time that he died, and he was found face down in a body of water. Most all other victims did not have the level of injury that Randy had. That's true. I can envision a scenario where someone drugged Randy and attempted to get him to the lake just like the other ones, except they did not count on Randy fighting back even though he had been drugged. As stated before, Randy was very fit and he was very athletic. He would have fought to save his life. It's possible that whomever did this was trying to get him to Ladybird, but because he fought them and fought them and fought them, they had to use whatever body of water was the closest. That would have been Shoal Creek. This scenario is very possible. I do want to say that this is all theory, not fact. It's what could have happened. This case is still open. It's open but suspended. I hope the ME kept samples of blood or tissue from Randy. We have to push them to test for drugs that could be used to incapacitate someone. This would answer many, many questions. So that's the story of Randy Lexvold. It's a very sad story. Randy left behind two very beautiful daughters that love him immensely. I talk to Randy's sister, Lori, almost daily now. She is fighting for answers, and we hope to get them. I'm in awe of her courage and determination to see this through. It cannot be easy to relive his death on a daily basis. Thanks for watching. I honestly appreciate it more than you know. Please like and subscribe. It really helps. It helps us continue to make these videos and helps us to get the truth out. If you have any questions, leave a comment below and I'll do my best to get it answered. So until next time, be safe, take care of yourself, and take care of each other.